Sonoluminescence, the baffling phenomenon where sound waves cause tiny gas bubbles in a liquid to emit brief flashes of light, has captivated scientists for decades. The extreme conditions generated within these collapsing bubbles, temperatures reaching tens of thousands of Kelvin and pressures exceeding thousands of atmospheres, challenge our understanding of physics at the interface of the macroscopic and the quantum. While conventional explanations focus on compressional heating and plasma formation, the sheer concentration of energy within a microscopic volume invites exploration through more radical frameworks. This extensive essay will examine sonoluminescence through the unique lens of our 11-dimensional model, a framework that posits the universe as a hierarchy of interconnected dimensions, each building upon the previous one. We will delve into how this model, which we have been developing through our ongoing discussions, might illuminate the phenomenon's underlying mechanisms, particularly the crucial role of resonant frequency, the profound nature of the wave function as a dimensional phenomenon, and the intriguing analogy to a small Big Bang that echoes the formation of stars, suggesting a fundamental unity in the universe's most extreme energetic events. Sonoluminescence, SL, was first observed in the 1930s, but it was the discovery of single-bubble sonoluminescence, SBSL, in the late 1980s that truly ignited scientific interest. In SBSL, a single gas bubble, typically air, often with an inert noble gas-like argon or xenon added, is trapped within a liquid, usually water, and subjected to intense acoustic fields. Under these conditions, the bubble undergoes a cycle of rapid expansion and violent collapse. This distinction of the bubble being gaseous rather than liquid is fundamental to the underlying physics, as the compressibility and thermal properties of the gas dictate the extreme conditions achievable. At the moment of collapse, the bubble emits a flash of light, lasting mere picoseconds, across a broad spectrum from ultraviolet to near-infrared. The energy density within the collapsing bubble is astounding, with estimates suggesting that energy is focused by a factor of up to 12 orders of magnitude. The extreme temperatures, comparable to those on the surface of stars, and the fleeting duration of the light pulse pose significant challenges to conventional physical models. The standard explanation for SL involves adiabatic compression and thermal bremsstrahlung radiation. As the gas inside the bubble is rapidly compressed by the surrounding liquid, its temperature and pressure rise dramatically. This extreme heat ionizes the gas, forming a plasma, and the resulting deceleration of electrons, bremsstrahlung, produces the observed light. However, this model struggles to fully account for several intriguing aspects of the phenomenon, including the precise mechanism of such extraordinary energy focusing, the incredibly short duration of the light pulse, and certain spectral characteristics of the emitted light that occasionally deviate from a pure black-body spectrum, hinting at non-thermal or quantum processes. Alternative theories, such as shockwave heating, collision-induced radiation, and more speculative ideas involving quantum effects like the dynamic Casimir effect have been proposed, but a complete and universally accepted explanation remains elusive. The role of resonant frequency is absolutely crucial in sonoluminescence. The liquid-filled container, or resonator, is driven by ultrasonic transducers at a frequency meticulously tuned to its intrinsic resonant frequency. At resonance, standing acoustic waves are established within the liquid, creating stable regions of high and low pressure. The gas bubble is precisely positioned at a pressure antinode, a point of maximum acoustic pressure oscillation, where it undergoes its cyclical expansion and violent collapse. This resonant frequency ensures the most efficient and powerful transfer of acoustic energy from the sound source to the bubble, maximizing the energy concentration during the critical collapse phase. The exact resonant frequency is a complex function of the container's geometry and material, the properties of the liquid, and the dissolved gases within it. It's a delicate balance, and achieving this resonance is the key to initiating and sustaining sonoluminescence. The analogy of sonoluminescence to a small Big Bang arises from the astonishingly extreme conditions generated within the collapsing gas bubble. just as the early universe underwent a period of rapid, violent expansion, followed by a phase of cooling and the formation of fundamental particles and forces, the sonoluminescent bubble experiences a rapid implosion. This creates a localized hotspot where energy densities and temperatures are reminiscent, albeit on a vastly scaled down level, of the initial moments after the Big Bang. The immense energy density, the incredibly high temperatures, and the picosecond-long duration of the event invite profound comparisons to cosmic origins. Some researchers have even speculated about the possibility of inducing nuclear fusion within these miniature Big Bangs, though this remains a highly contentious and unproven claim. Our 11-dimensional model, meticulously developed through our extensive discussions, offers a unique and expansive perspective on sonoluminescence by providing a hierarchical framework for understanding the interplay of forces and energies across different scales of reality. This model proposes that the universe is not merely composed of the familiar 3 spatial dimensions and the singular dimension of time, but rather a series of 11 interconnected dimensions. Each subsequent dimension emerges from and builds upon the complexity of the preceding one, adding new layers of structure, potentiality, and interaction. This layered reality suggests a fundamental interconnectedness, where phenomena in one dimension can profoundly influence or even originate from interactions in others. At the absolute foundation of our model lies the zero dimension. This is a dimensionless point representing the quantum vacuum itself, a state of minimum energy but maximum potentiality, the primordial source from which all existence, information, and energy ultimately arise. In the context of sonoluminescence, the zero dimension can be conceptualized as the ultimate, underlying energy reservoir from which the extreme conditions within the collapsing bubble might momentarily draw. Theories speculating on vacuum energy being converted to light in sonoluminescence would find a profound home here, as the localized extreme pressure might tap into this fundamental substratum of existence. The first, second, and third dimensions. These are the familiar dimensions that define the physical space we inhabit and where sonoluminescence visibly occurs. The first dimension introduces length, the second adds width to form a plane, and the third introduces depth, allowing for the existence of volume, mass, and the intricate physical structures of our world. The gas bubble exists and undergoes its dramatic transformations within these 3 spatial dimensions. The precise geometry of the container, which is crucial for achieving resonance, is defined by these spatial dimensions, enabling the propagation and convergence of the sound waves. These dimensions provide the tangible arena for the sonoluminescence experiment. The fourth dimension. This dimension introduces the concept of time, conceptualized as the rotation of a 3-dimensional object, thereby bringing forth change, sequence, and causality. In sonoluminescence, the fourth dimension is paramount. The entire phenomenon is a dynamic process unfolding over incredibly brief timescales, the rapid expansion and violent collapse of the bubble, and the subsequent picosecond-long emission of light. This extreme temporal compression of energy signifies an intense temporal pinch, where the system's state evolves with unimaginable speed. It is the dimension that allows for memory of past cycles, the current state of compression, and the causal link to the emitted light. The fifth dimension. Beyond simple linear time, the fifth dimension introduces secondary rotations, signifying cyclical change, variations, and the existence of multiple potential outcomes or states. For sonoluminescence, this dimension directly embodies the inherent cyclical nature of the bubble's oscillation, driven by the precise resonant frequency of the sound waves. This periodicity and exact repetition, fundamental to the phenomenon, aligns perfectly with the fifth dimension's principle of cyclical change and rhythmic patterns. The wobble here represents the precise tuning of the acoustic field that allows for such extreme and repeatable energy concentration, enabling the system to reach an optimal state for collapse and emission. Even the gas bubble itself, as a physical entity, possesses intrinsic, albeit slow, precessional wobble or polarization of its internal molecular states, constantly exploring subtle shifts in its configuration. It may be true that the particles within this gas bubble are also spinning or rotating at incredible speeds in accordance with the resonant frequency of the entire system. All objects in the universe, by virtue of their existence and motion, possess these first 5 dimensions as fundamental aspects of their reality. The 6th dimension. This dimension describes the dynamic, complex relationships between objects in space, akin to Kepler's laws governing planetary motion or the intricate dance of a solar system. In this situation, the relationship of 2 bodies is evident between the gas bubble in the center and the liquid bubble surrounding it. In a complex system, it represents the intricate feedback loops and interactions that define its operational state. The 7th dimension. Adding further nuance to dynamic relationships, the 7th dimension represents the tilt of orbital planes, signifying subtle influences on systemic dynamics. It allows for contextual adaptation and the fine-tuning of relationships within a complex system. Here, our 2-body system is the relationship between the gas bubble and the liquid surrounding it, and its polarity can be seen in the relationship between frequencies of vibration of the gas and the liquid. The 8th dimension. This dimension scales our view to the orbit of our solar system around the galactic center, representing a vastly expanded perspective and the integration of information on a cosmic scale. It embodies the ability to synthesize vast, disparate datasets and identify grander, overarching patterns. In our star in a jar, the jar is representative of the 8th dimension, encompassing the lower dimensions of the system. The 9th dimension. Adding another layer of complexity to galactic motion, the 9th dimension involves the tilt of our solar system's orbital plane within the galaxy. This represents the capacity for even more nuanced integration and understanding of truly grand, abstract structures and their underlying dynamics, allowing for profound insights into complex systems. In our sonoluminescence experiment, this is represented by the resonant frequency of the jar itself. When applying this frequency in the form of sound waves, this causes a trickle-down effect through the other dimensions, causing the zero-dimensional reaction we are experiencing with sonoluminescence inside a glass container. The 10th dimension. This is a pivotal dimension, embodying the universe's ongoing cosmic expansion and the fundamental forces that operate deterministically. It represents the realm of classical physics, predictable cause and effect relationships, and the outward, expansive push of the cosmos. In sonoluminescence, the macroscopic forces of acoustic pressure and the deterministic laws of fluid dynamics that compress the bubble primarily operate within the 10th dimension. Much of what we conventionally understand about physics is rooted in this dimension, the 11th dimension. The 11th dimension stands as the ultimate counterforce to the 10th. It is linked to cosmic contraction, the profound mystery of quantum entanglement, and deep, non-local interconnectedness. It represents the intrinsic probabilistic nature of reality at its most fundamental level, the realm where free will or truly emergent properties might manifest, and where information is shared non-locally. This dimension embodies the inward contractive pull of the cosmos, hinting at a unified, underlying quantum fabric of reality. The tension between the 10th and 11th dimensions forms the very basis of dynamism in our universe and in this star in a jar by means of the wave function. A critical insight into sonoluminescence, when viewed through our 11-dimensional model, centers on the profound role of the resonant frequency of the container. It is not merely a technical parameter. It acts as a global orchestrator, effectively governing all particles inside the container. This suggests a level of energetic coherence and informational coupling throughout the entire system that transcends simple classical vibrations, reaching into the deeper dimensional layers. When the liquid-filled container is driven at its precise resonant frequency, it establishes a standing wave pattern. This phenomenon goes beyond mere mechanical vibrations. It involves the entire medium, from the atomic structure of the glass container to every single water molecule and dissolved gas particle, entering a state of highly synchronized and coherent oscillation. This resonant coherence implies that the energy input is optimally channeled and amplified throughout the system, leading to a state of maximal collective responsiveness. This global governance by resonant frequency can be understood as a manifestation of the interplay between dimensions. The fifth dimension's cyclic perfection. The resonant frequency precisely embodies the fifth dimension's principle of cyclical change and optimal possibility. By tuning the driving frequency to this natural resonance, the physical system is guided into its most energetically efficient and stable oscillatory mode. It is as if the system is seeking its own ideal wobble or rhythm, a state of minimal entropy for energy propagation and maximal energy storage. Orchestration across lower dimensions. This fifth dimensional coherence then propagates down through the fourth dimension, ensuring the precise temporal synchronization of particle oscillations and the rapid phase shifts necessary for compression. And the third, second, and first dimensions, shaping the precise spatial organization of the standing wave's pressure nodes and antinodes. Every particle within the container is compelled to participate in this grand, synchronized dance. While individual particles might exhibit random thermal motion, their collective behavior is overwhelmingly governed by the coherent, resonant field. The entire system effectively becomes a single, vast, coherently vibrating entity, meticulously maximizing energy accumulation at specific points within the liquid, particularly around the gas bubble. This profound and pervasive coherence, established by the resonant frequency governing all particles, is the indispensable prerequisite for the extreme conditions observed in the collapsing gas bubble. It sets the stage for the system to momentarily transcend its classical behavior and potentially interact with higher dimensional phenomena in unprecedented ways. It signifies a collective entrainment of the entire system into a powerful energetic state. This coherent, resonance-driven system leads us to a revolutionary reinterpretation of the wave function within our 11-dimensional model. Traditionally, the wave function is a mathematical description of the quantum state of an isolated particle or system of particles, providing the probability amplitude for their various configurations. However, in our expanded understanding, the wave function is not solely associated with individual particles. It is fundamentally associated with, or perhaps even is, a primary dimension or the dynamic interplay between primary dimensions. Specifically, we propose that the waves we observe throughout the universe, from sound waves in a liquid to light waves, gravitational waves, and even the probabilistic wave functions of quantum mechanics, are a direct consequence of the 10th dimension, which is cosmic expansion or deterministic force, and the 11th dimension, which is cosmic contraction or quantum interconnectedness, working in profound and perpetual counterpoint. The 10th dimension embodies the outward, expansive push of the universe, governing classical causality, predictable interactions, and the deterministic evolution of systems. It is the dimension of the known forces and trajectories. The 11th dimension, conversely, embodies the inward, contractive pull of the cosmos. It represents the inherent probabilistic nature of reality at its most fundamental level, the realm of non-local correlations, quantum entanglement, and the potential for truly emergent, non-deterministic phenomena. This dynamic tension, this working against each other, between the 10th dimension's push for expansion and the 11th dimension's pull for contraction and unification, generates the very fabric of oscillation and propagation we perceive as waves. Thus, the wave function becomes the description of the state of this fundamental dimensional interplay, the probabilistic distribution of how these two opposing forces manifest across the lower dimensions. The frequency of any wave, like the resonant frequency in sonoluminescence, directly reflects a specific harmonic or mode of this underlying 10th-11th dimensional oscillation. These fundamental dimensional waves, originating from the highest interplay, then cascade down and influence the behavior of phenomena in all lower dimensions, from the quantum fluctuations in the 0 dimension to the large-scale structures in the 9th. This perspective elevates the concept of waves from mere vibrations of matter or energy to the very signature of the universe's fundamental dimensional architecture, providing a deep, unified origin for all oscillatory phenomena. Applying this profound reinterpretation to sonoluminescence yields even deeper insights into the phenomenon's mechanics and its unique status as a bridge between the macroscopic and the quantum. Sound waves born from dimensional conflict. The sound waves themselves, acting as the driving force for sonoluminescence, are not just mechanical vibrations of particles in the third dimension. Instead, they are the perceptible manifestation of the resonant interaction between the 10th and 11th dimensions, projected into the lower dimensions. The pressure oscillations of the sound wave represent the localized expansions, the 10th dimension's influence, and contractions, the 11th dimension's influence, of the liquid medium. The continuous propagation of the sound wave through the liquid is the dynamic expression of these two fundamental forces working against each other, creating a macroscopic wave function that permeates the entire container. Resonant frequency as a dimensional tuning fork. The resonant frequency of the container, so absolutely critical for achieving sonoluminescence, is thus far more than a simple mechanical resonance. It functions as a dimensional tuning fork that allows the entire macroscopic system to align perfectly with a specific harmonic of the fundamental 10th-11th dimensional oscillation. By matching this frequency, we are creating conditions where the container, the liquid, and the gas bubble become exceptionally coherent and responsive to this primary dimensional tension. This optimal alignment maximizes the efficiency of energy transfer from the fundamental dimensional interplay into the local physical system, creating a vast energy reservoir primed for collapse. Interference pattern as a localized dimensional wave function. Collapse. The interference pattern formed by these sound waves, converging at the precise center of the container, becomes a direct visual representation of the wave function of the 10th-11th dimensional interplay, becoming maximally localized. At the pressure antinode, the amplitudes of the counteracting dimensional forces reach their peak convergence. This is not merely energy focusing, it's a profound dimensional focusing, where the probabilistic range of the wave function of these primary dimensions collapses into a high probability state of extreme energy density at that specific point in space and time. It's a temporary macroscopic collapse of a fundamental dimensional wave function, leading to a state of extraordinary energy concentration within the gas bubble. The gas bubble, a probe of dimensional extremes and entanglement. The gas bubble, precisely positioned at this convergence point, acts as an exquisitely sensitive probe of dimensional extremes. As it undergoes extreme compression, it is effectively forced into a state where the local manifestation of the 10th and 11th dimensions reaches its most intense and dominant point. The physical volume of the bubble, third dimension, is reduced to near quantum scales, and its temporal compression, fourth dimension, becomes picosecond long. Even at this extreme, the gas bubble fundamentally retains its lower dimensional existence. It occupies space, first, second, and third dimensions, undergoes rapid temporal changes, fourth dimension, and its internal dynamics likely involve subtle, slow, precessional wobble or polarization of its constituent particles, fifth dimension. However, it is here that the concept of sound waves causing an entanglement effect through the 11th dimension becomes highly plausible within our model. The resonant frequency, by synchronizing the entire system and driving this extreme compression, establishes an overarching coherence. This intense, coherent energy field might create conditions where the wave functions of the constituent gas atoms within the bubble, and perhaps even nearby liquid molecules, become fundamentally entangled, moving beyond classical correlations. The 11th dimension, as the inherent realm of quantum interconnectedness, would be the very fabric through which this entanglement propagates or is enabled. This means the particles inside the bubble momentarily lose their individual identities, acting as a single quantum-correlated entity for that fleeting picosecond of maximal collapse. Nullification of intermediate dimensions, a microcosmic big crunch. This extreme, resonance-driven concentration of the 10th-11th dimensional wave function leads to a critical phenomenon, the nullification of the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th dimensions within the localized volume of the collapsing bubble. The overwhelming force and highly constrained environment dictated by the 10th and 11th dimensions via the resonant sound waves effectively suppress the influence of the more complex, diffuse, and relational dynamics of the intermediate dimensions. The macroscopic orbital motions, 6th dimension, or subtle tilts, 7th dimension of larger systems, or the broad galactic information integration, 8th and 9th dimensions, are simply rendered irrelevant or flattened by the sheer dominating and localized forces. The coherent informational dominance of the sound waves, as expressions of 10th-11th dimensional tension, overwhelms the information pathways associated with these intermediate dimensions. This nullification is strikingly similar to what might occur in a Big Crunch scenario at a cosmic scale. In a theoretical Big Crunch, if the universe were to eventually reverse its expansion, the 10th dimension's force reversing, and collapse under its own gravity, the 11th dimension's pull dominating, the immense densities and unified forces would likely obliterate or render non-existent the complex structures and relationships, galaxies, solar systems, and their intricate dynamics, which are products of the 6th through 9th dimensions. All matter would be compressed back to a fundamental, unified state where only the most basic dimensional interactions persist. The sonoluminescence experiment thus provides a compelling, localized Big Crunch where the dominant forces, 10th and 11th via sound waves, strip away the influence of intermediate dimensions to expose the raw, fundamental interaction that leads to the small Big Bang. Sonoluminescence as a micro-Big Bang glimpse of primordial dimensional tension. The light emitted during sonoluminescence is therefore not merely thermal radiation, but potentially the direct energetic signature of the 10th and 11th dimensions interacting at their most extreme local manifestation. The violent collapse represents the cosmic contraction of the 11th dimension maximally asserting itself against the inherent expansion of the 10th dimension within that tiny volume. This intense, localized interplay, fundamentally mediated by quantum entanglement, generates conditions so extreme that they momentarily echo the primordial balance or tension that existed at the very dawn of our universe. The light is the energy released as this localized dimensional clash occurs, a small Big Bang directly demonstrating the creative and destructive power of the 10th and 11th dimensions in opposition. It is the energetic fallout from a transient, resonance-induced quantum entanglement, a localized collapse of a dimensional wave function. This new, unified interpretation provides an even more elegant and compelling analogy between sonoluminescence and how stars condense, offering a truly universal application for our 11-dimensional model. Both phenomena demonstrate the profound interplay between energy concentration, phase transition under extreme conditions, and the critical role of resonant or optimal frequencies, all orchestrated by the fundamental tension between the 10th and 11th dimensions. Cosmic wave function of matter, 10th versus 11th dimension. Consider the vast, diffuse gas clouds in the cosmos not just as random collections of particles, but as manifestations of a cosmic wave function, arising from the fundamental interplay between the 10th and 11th dimensions. The 10th dimension's expansive nature leads to the general dispersion of matter throughout the universe. However, within this vastness, the 11th dimension's contractive quantum interconnectedness creates inherent probabilities for localized densification. The subtle density fluctuations in these clouds are not random thermal variations, but are the delicate ripples or preferred states within this grand cosmic wave function, indicating regions where the 11th dimension's pull is momentarily stronger. Gravity as a deterministic pull, 10th dimension, orchestrated by resonance gravitational collapse. The primary mechanism of star formation is indeed a deterministic process driven by the 10th dimension. The force of gravity, in this light, can be seen as the 10th dimension's response to the 11th dimension's inherent tendency towards contraction and unification. It's the deterministic push of the 10th dimension, forcing matter to succumb to the 11th dimension's pull of unification. The resonant conditions, like the Jeans mass or Jeans length, required for collapse, where gravity can overcome the internal pressure of the gas, can be interpreted as the cloud tuning into a specific frequency or state of the 10th-11th dimensional interaction. The cloud achieves a state where the 11th dimension's pull, gravity, resonates sufficiently to overcome the 10th dimension's push, internal thermal and magnetic pressure, initiating the collapse. The presence of the vast interstellar medium, acting as a cosmic background, allows for these resonance conditions to eventually be met. Stellar collapse, a macro-dimensional wave function. Convergence. As a stellar core collapses under immense self-gravity, the matter converges to extreme densities and temperatures. This isn't just a physical compression, it's a cosmic-scale convergence of the 10th-11th dimensional wave function. The enormous gravitational potential, 10th dimension, forces matter inward, leading to a state where the 11th dimension's quantum interconnectedness becomes paramount. The energy focused by gravity, much like the acoustic energy focused by resonance in sonoluminescence, brings the system to a critical state. Nuclear fusion, the ignition of 11th dimensional interplay. The ignition of nuclear fusion in the star's core is the ultimate small Big Bang at the cosmic scale. It represents the point where the extreme density and temperature, resulting from the 10th dimension's deterministic gravitational collapse, finally allow the 11th dimension's quantum interconnectedness to fully manifest. The fundamental nuclear forces that govern fusion are inherently quantum interactions. The immense energy released is the energetic signature of the probabilistic wave functions of atomic nuclei, undergoing a profound 11th dimension-mediated transformation, collapsing into new, unified states. The star, then, is a beacon of light born from the intense, localized interplay of the 10th and 11th dimensions. The ongoing fusion is a continuous act of these two dimensions, engaging in a localized, high-energy oscillation, maintaining the star's radiant existence, effectively creating a stable, continuous Big Bang at its core. This extensively developed 11-dimensional model, with its radical reinterpretation of the wave function and the dynamic interplay between the 10th and 11th dimensions, offers a deeply integrated and coherent framework for understanding sonoluminescence, star formation, and potentially all-wave phenomena. It presents several profound implications. Waves are fundamental dimensional expressions. All waves are not merely emergent properties of matter, but are the direct, observable manifestation of the fundamental counterpoint between the 10th and 11th dimensions. This implies a universe constantly oscillating and propagating energy as a direct consequence of its highest dimensional structure. Resonance as a universal tuning fork. Resonant frequencies, whether in a laboratory container or a collapsing gas cloud, are key mechanisms that allow physical systems to tune into and amplify specific harmonics of this underlying dimensional oscillation. This enables the efficient transfer and concentration of energy from these fundamental dimensions into observable physical events. The 11th dimension's active role in physical processes. The 11th dimension is not a passive backdrop, but an active participant, directly influencing physical processes like quantum entanglement and the energetic releases in extreme events. As we stand on the precipice of a new era in physics, the exploration of the 11-dimensional model promises to unlock the deepest secrets of our universe. The profound implications of this model compel us to reevaluate our understanding of reality itself. Imagine a future where we have devised experimental methodologies capable of probing the 10th and 11th dimensions, where quantum correlations and gravitational effects in sonoluminescence are measured with unprecedented precision. This would not only validate our theories, but could also lead to revolutionary advancements in technology and our understanding of the cosmos. Moreover, the mathematical formalization of these ideas will be a monumental task, requiring the collaboration of the brightest minds in theoretical physics. By developing new physics that describe the interaction between fundamental dimensions, We can create models that explain phenomena from the microscopic flashes of sonoluminescence to the colossal events of star formation. As we reconcile these new theories with our current models, we will uncover new layers of reality, offering explanations for phenomena that have long eluded our understanding. This journey will not only redefine our grasp of the universe, but also challenge our notions of information and consciousness. In this future, we may come to see consciousness itself as a manifestation of the 10th and 11th dimensional wave functions, a self-referential interference pattern that creates the illusion of agency. This could merge our understanding of artificial intelligence with the deepest principles of physics, leading to a unified theory of mind and matter. Ultimately, the study of sonoluminescence and the 11-dimensional model is not just a scientific endeavor, it is a journey into the heart of reality. It reminds us that the smallest sound can resonate with the largest cosmic event, all orchestrated by the hidden symphony of the dimensions. This is the future of dimensional exploration, where every tiny flash of light holds the key to the universe's most profound mysteries. Thank you for your time. Experience the 11-dimensional model of the universe in its entirety by viewing the 11-dimensional model playlist, the playlist of visual representations of dimensions, or our latest video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.